I'm here with Seamus Corcoran, who's going to be delivering a workshop with us on an introduction to psychodrama at the end of this month. Welcome, Seamus.
Well, hello. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Danielle.
It's lovely to meet you as well. I've just asked Seamus to come into a call with me just to kind of introduce himself, just in case people are interested in joining the workshop, but they've never heard of psychodrama before. So, Seamus, maybe you could start by telling me how you got into psychodrama.
Well, for me, I've always been interested in from when I was very young. I remember seeing a play of Sleeping Beauty came to my year one class and put it on. I sat right up the front and was mesmerized by this world of the theatre.
Yeah.
And the actress came over at the end when we were all finished, and she kneeled down and she talked to me. Now, I don't remember what she said, but I remember the moment was very special. So that gave me an interest. I was always involved in theatre, always involved in productions, and then my academic life's been a bit moved between I studied theatre and drama, directing, production, acting.
Wow.
Worked some small, theatre groups, went into theatre and education, saw the impact of showing, not just telling, among students, the using music, theatre to communicate. Yeah. And then some years later, as I went on, moved from education into the more therapy field, some clinical pastoral care, then did my formal training. I was always interested in psychology. So this relation between the human psychology, the nature and the role of the theatre and the arts in the way we live out our lives, the way we look at problems, our imaginations. Yeah. So then as a therapist, the theatre has kind of come back round in teaching psychodrama workshops to graduate students.
Yes.
But the one time that really got me, I went to teach a drama workshop I was in Dublin at the time, and this was in the late 80s, and was asked to run, it was a summer school in Dublin. Students were brought from Belfast, and Protestant and Catholic students were offered a summer school in music, drama, arts, visual arts, all of that. So they asked me to teach the drama program. And my first thought was stay away from anything sensitive, such as conflict, the troubles. But what I found was it was actually the opposite. No matter how much I tried to keep that out, the students, who were ranged from about 13 to 16, continuously brought it in. So I dropped that idea and we went with it. And so the whole workshop turned into a more therapeutic exploration of the students' experiences of growing up and the conflict, between the divisions. So I guess from there on, I'd always maintained this interest in theatre and the role of theatre socially, and then in a therapeutic sense, coming across the work of Moreno and some of the drama therapists in the Australia, New Zealand field, always kept me interested. But Moreno really got me with the way he brought together the science and the art and the therapy, the psychoanalytic school. And so here I am.
Yeah, so really a combination of your two loves is theatre and psychotherapy.
Yes.
Wonderful. And so thinking about that then, why should therapists consider incorporating psychodrama into their work?
Well, a few reasons. It's very exciting. It's a very exciting field. Keeps one fresh. It's always new. Every group is like a client is different. Yeah. You never quite know where you will arrive. So it's a very exciting field. I would say there's quite a need for more group therapy in communities, in facilities. So being able to competently structure and run a psychodrama session say
Yeah.
in residential rehabilitation, in community addiction type outreaches, or just general group therapy. I mean, Psychodrama's run in supervision. It's been run with all sorts of health working fields.
Yeah.
So there's got an incredible amount of adaptability and can be applied to a range of groups. And I often sit with clients at times, particularly, working with their very deep developmental traumas and challenges, thinking,
Yes.
if I could refer you to a group, psychodrama group for this issue, you would likely see a lot of movement, quite quick, a bit quicker than it can occur in the individual therapy. So I think one is the need, the other is the pure enjoyment of it, and also can be adapted for individual therapy. So understanding the techniques, the philosophy, the processes of how the psychodramatic works can be applied in an individual one-to-one by extending some of the expressive way that we might work, sand-tray therapy, say masks, clay, all sorts of things. But it's the idea of a relational self. So it gives a lot of insight into resolving those relational traumatic stresses, the context that we live in our social context, and the context of our inner world and all of those relationships. So I would say it's very enriching. It can help with working with clients and you're reaching an impasse or a stuckness. So understanding the breadth of technique to be able to extend what in some sense one is already likely doing, can help us, can increase our resource, because we're looking at the resource of the client, the resource of that sits at the center of the idea of the spontaneous and the creative, and the idea of the showing, the tell and show, I guess it would be in an individual sense. So that's some of the reasons, might not be all of them. But
that's how that performance element comes into it, and kind of working in a way of exploring and externalizing the different parts of the self.
Yes, very much in a very concrete, in terms of concretization of situations. So it's a very way of putting into a concrete form the more abstract experiences, and what's unrepresented or unprocessed or unrealized or whatever. So
sounds really wonderful. And just thinking about that, if somebody was interested in the topic and they as well as attending the workshop, what book would you recommend they read to kind of dip their toe into it?
Well, of course, there's always Moreno's work, which is beautifully written, very artistic, very raw and revealing. I guess for a technical introduction, probably the work of the Blattners. Got one here, there, Adam and Ali Blattner's book, Foundations of Psychodrama, History, Theory and Practice. So it's a very good introduction, beginning, gives a good history, the theory, and shows, the practice in action. So as an introduction, I would say that's good. And then there's a very good contemporary, more recent book by Anna Chesner, which is one-to-one psychodrama psychotherapy. So if you are not necessarily a group therapist, but were interested in how you could incorporate, then that would be an ideal text to get a hold of.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I really hope that this has been useful to everybody, just to hear a little bit about psychodrama. Do join myself and Seamus on July 31st at 10 a.m. online for the Introduction to Psychodrama, where Seamus will deep dive much more into a lot of what he's already started talking about. It's going to be a really exciting event, and I hope to see you there. See you soon, Seamus.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it.
Thank you.